Notion Quilting, and today I'm going to do a stitch in manual mode. I'm going to go ahead and do concentric circles, just because that one's a good rhythm. I'm going to just go ahead and go for it. I don't normally stitch in manual mode, but I read that it might be helpful to some people when I asked what kind of things you'd like to see stitched. So I'm in manual mode, which means when I click start, my needle is just going to go. Okay, so this would be a long arm without a stitch regulator if you like practicing in manual mode. I know a lot of the pros do. I don't spend a lot of time practicing in manual mode. So the important thing is just to be consistent. To try to keep your stitch lengths the same length around. So the trick to this design is just traveling along the edge of your circle, so that it has the illusion of one circle laying on top of the other. It's so funny. This feels so therapeutic because you really just have to pay attention to what you're doing. Just keep going. You want to try to keep it a regular speed. The only time that I use manual is when I want to get pointy things. It's great for getting those extra stitches in. So if I were doing like, pine needles or something. Big old circle behind there, huh? You don't want to stop for too long because you'll get a nice old bird's nest. And those threads will get cut. My machine sounds so different on manual too. It just sounds smoother and quieter. So the key is to set your machine. So this would be great for even sit-down quilters because it's kind of the same idea. Set your machine on a consistent speed. So you can put your machine, for sit-down quilters, if you can adjust how fast or slow you're going, that's great. If not, I've heard people put a block of wood underneath their foot pedal so that they can only go a certain speed. And then you've taken your foot out of the equation. It's one less thing to think about. Then you can just focus on how well you're doing with your hands. So if you can take speed out of the equation, like I have it set on 50% speed right now. That's how fast it's stitching. I don't think I could stitch any slower than this because I have the urge to go fast, and this is really hard to talk and stitch at the same time. But those are some great things that can help you for sit-down quilting or if you're doing any quilting in manual mode. So those are not amazing, but they're not terrible for doing that for my first time in manual mode doing swirls. I like to do pointy things with it because it definitely gets those extra little stitches in to get sharp points on corners, stars, pine needles, leaves, stuff like that. So when you're stitching in manual mode, it is really good to make sure that you can try to keep a consistent speed of your machine. So you can take that out of the equation and you can work to get to a point where your hands meet the speed of that machine, and you can get, the goal is to get some really consistent stitch lines, and I think I did fairly well there. I'm actually pretty proud of myself. So I hope those tips are helpful. That's great for sit-down quilters and for quilters who don't have a stitch regulator. Please like and share the page Bold Notion Quilting, and please continue to share your ideas on other things that you would like to see done on the long arm. If it's anything that, not even long arm, free motion quilting, if it's anything that I'm not familiar with, I will learn it and then I will teach you guys. So this is really great for me to learn and add new things to my repertoire as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy quilting.